Hi everybody. So thank you for having me here. So I'm Erik Arnaud. I am a data strategist for MAIF, meaning that I work with MAIF Chief Digital Officer and helping him rolling out our digital transformation on these specific topics. And tonight I want to talk a bit about our vision for data ethics and how we really see it as a great opportunity to put at the heart of disruptive innovation. So, but first, let's start with our context, which is, I guess, the context of every incumbent company nowadays. The fact is that every company needs to become a tech company. There is this pressure from the law of accelerating returns. So innovation costs are plummeting, and all the incumbents in all the industries are challenged by startups. And tech have evolved from critical but outsourceable to core and strategic, which is from organization like us. MAIF is a leading mutual insurance company in France, but it's based in its HQ. It's in New York, and sometimes we can be a bit far away from what is happening in the tech world. So it's really a challenge for us to make this shift, and all the more that we have to anticipate massive impact on all the existing business from a lot of upcoming trends that are quite synergistic, mostly cognitive technologies, AI, combined with fully rolled out IoT, blockchain, etc., etc. So there is really the need, as in the world of our CEO, to hack our own model. We are faced with a lot of digital challenger, UX experts, tech experts that doesn't have to carry any of our legacy assets, IT, culture, organization, and some people. So we need to be able to hack ourselves before our business model is hacked by others. So the way we approach that is by building a strategy around three main pillars. First is that we see as the pillars of the new digital paradigm. First is the community. And on this dimension, I can say that we are pretty lucky at MAIF because we are a company that is a community before being a company. That's a model at the heart of the mutual insurance, and we are a value-based company. And in this matter, I don't know if you're familiar with the concept of small giant, but I think really MAIF falls into this category. Value-based companies that prefer to take care of its societaries rather than increase it in size. But beyond our first community and also our salaried community, the digital shift forces us to extend our community to a whole ecosystem of new players with all the challenges of open innovation, and we try to capitalize as much as we can on our VC fund to be able to get innovation and internalize it from the outside. Second pillars, it really is the experience, and on this we have a strong asset. We are a leader in our industry in customer relation. Now we have to translate that to the digital field, which is not quite easy. But the third pillar is obviously the most critical because that's what makes everything possible in tech nowadays, the data. And on this front, we are a bit lagging behind, and we are faced with these competitions, the digital payments, or the GAFA, or whatever you want to call them. Scalability makes techs quite an oligopolistic playground, and we have these huge tech giants that are hardwired, data-driven organization. And they have this digital intimacy with our customer, your customers, that really makes them a huge threat, because if Google decides to do insurance, they have a lot of data to be much better than you are to do insurance. And so this kind of digital intimacy really creates a lot of rivalry between the new and the traditional economy. So data is really the front that is critical today, and the front where we are losing, and it's us, it's in France, in the European Union, whereas it's the most strategic asset. It will be at the heart of all the major cognitive technologies to come. And right now, the situation, we have three things that are at stake. First, can we create balanced ecosystems or will the AI revolution be completely oligopolistic with a few major players, mostly in the US, which raise the second stakes, the question of the sovereignty of technology. Right now, you need a lot of data to get more data, to produce better services that will generate more data. And so basically, we are right now a bit lagging, and we have to make a lot of effort to get ahead. But we need maybe to think a different approach to that. And right now, I feel that the context is right. I'm going to talk a bit about it later. And the third stake is, are we sure that the citizen can first hold on to some kind of privacy first, and second, can they extract all the value of their own data? And right now it's not the case. The data of the people is disseminated, captured by corporations through TMPs and whatnot, and mostly used by American tech giants to sell commercials. And people are getting more and more aware of that and tired of the exploitation, the use that corporation and organization are making of that data. And you can see also a huge shift in the regulation in this regard. And we are particularly sensitive to that because, as I said, we are the value-driven company, and we are very interested by what is happening in the blockchain field, because right now the kind of digital network, not to say the internet, is getting back to its roots as a completely distributed system versus a system which is completely hugely imbalanced. And yeah, we are pretty sensitive to the blockchain topic because MAIF maybe is the first peer-to-peer organization. Well, that's how it was conceived at the origin. So given this approach and what we see in the blockchain field, what are our convictions towards data ethics? What kind of new data paradigm can we evolve toward? The idea is, well, the main concept that we are working on is self-data. We did not invent it. It's a think tank called Things that came up with the term a few years ago. And the idea behind self-data is to be able to give the power of their data back to the people. And that starts by enabling them to get their data back from private and public organization. How? By redistributing the internet, sort of. Meaning that how to do that, you need to have a special tool, personal cloud, or people call it data pods or PIMS for personal information management system. Kind of your own private server with, of course, a simplicity in terms of experience. I need to go with it. But your own private server, when you can get back your data, aggregate it, and run algorithm locally with much more power, with potential for value, because as an individual, you're the only entity that is legit to have your full 360-degree data. You are the only entity that can have full access to your data and have the complete digital map of your life. And then you can exploit this completeness to create new services. For instance, right now we are working with a startup in this field to be able to, we developed a small MVP that allows you to, on one side, get your banking data, on the other side, get your health insurance data, and to have a small application that gives you a follow-up of your reimbursement. So that's the kind of service that you can create when you start to pull data from different territories and bring it together and create new innovative services. And because this global digitalization movement is really going full speed, because as tech will become ubiquitous, IoT and AI will be everywhere, the question of privacy will be absolutely critical. Tomorrow, will I let Google know everything of my life because it's my only option for powering my life with a super AI? Or can we imagine a different system? Because right now it's the only option. If you want to have the best AI, you need to either own your data and have the algorithm running on an infrastructure that is yours, or give your data away to a company that will have access to it. So there is a huge question of privacy today. And really our conviction is that tomorrow we will import algorithm to infrastructure at our hands rather than give away all our data. But this is not a philanthropic enterprise. When you build trust and transparency with your clients, they are more prone, because right now they're pretty defiant, but they are more prone, if you build this trust, to give you access to data you never dreamed of, to data of much better quality, because they have the power and the choice, and they know what you're going to do with it. And you can create marketing deal, for instance, when as a company I ask you to give me access to this kind of specific stream of data from your PIMS, and in exchange I will be able to push you super relevant offer. For instance, let's imagine smart insurance. If in my PIMS, my algorithm as an insurance company sees that you are booking a ski weekend with your family, and I can look at your coverage and see that you are not covered for the risk you're going to take, I can push you at a very granular level an insurance that is specifically tailored for your needs. And this is the case for marketing, but also you can use all the data that you have access to really perfect your experience, to give a lot of data when you are having a conversation, a telephonic conversation with, you can really bring a lot more context to the relation. But also you can either get have a lot of data access from the PIMS, but the beauty of it is that you can deliver the services directly within the local architecture without having to get it back. And also, when you do that, you have access to all of the data from other industries. That's where it gets really interesting, that you can really create new services by crossing your data with data from other industries. For instance, through PIMS, EDF could have access and offer services on the basis of Nest data, something they could never dreamed of before. So really we see this new way to look at data as very disruptive and very transforming for the industry. And there is going to be a huge boost in this approach with upcoming GDPR in May 2019. The Article 20 that states that all data have to be portable. All companies will have to make available the data they have in a machine-readable format, and this will create a huge data ecosystem, a huge data marketplace, where in the middle there will still be the individual, the customer, that is going to be the master and the center of the system. And so there are going to be winners that will be able to use this paradigm change to get a lot of data from all the other territories, and losers would only get their data still by a stronger player. And beyond the Article 20 and the portability, the GDPR, there is going to be a lot of constraints. They are going to make traditional exploitation of data as we know it very difficult. And going through the individual infrastructure, personal cloud, to make the treatment that we do right now in our big data center is going to be the only way to kind of circumvent all these constraints. So that being said, what are we doing right now as a company to address this topic? First, we are not alone. We are exploring the topic collectively with other big corporates, Orange, EDF, Engie, Crédit Agricole, in a kind of innovation consortium around the think tank Thing, where we are going to roll out 3,000 personal information management system to our societaries, and all the players of the initiative are going to push the customer data into these personal clouds, and we are creating services and also trying to working with schools and with entrepreneurs to create services that exploit all the data crossed within these infrastructures. And beyond that, we are also making a few bets. We invested in a leading startup in the field called Cozy Cloud, 1 year ago. Is working on this topic for 4 years right now. It's a lot of anticipation. They are currently, with everything that is happening around the GDPR, having their first competitors emerging. So we see a lot of activities in the field, and we complemented this first investment with an investment in SNIPS, who basically develop algorithm, machine learning that can work in a very powerful natural language processing algorithm that can work locally in a low performance environment. So it would be a perfect fit for PIMS like COSI. Imagine tomorrow when, as an individual, you can pull all your data from all your different services in your infrastructure and then put some AI on it that is able to exploit the depth and the richness of those data you put inside to provide you with the most relevant services on only when you only have to say a few sentences, and the AI gets you because it has access to all this data. So it's either that or the AI is at Google and you give all your data to Google. So this is really what we believe in. And right now we can see that few major players are currently federating around this concept. A few innovation ecosystems are bootstrapping. There was a few months ago an editorial from Tim Berners-Lee, the founder of the World Wide Web, which is working on a similar topic at the MIT right now. So basically we see a lot of things happening in this field. And basically it makes, for us as a company, as what we call a trusted third party, un tiers de confiance, the shift that we want to make with digital transformation is to become a leader of distributed trust. Thank you very much.
Okay, Erik, thanks a lot. Please. So something very interesting you said was regarding this PIMS, personal information, how do you call it?
Personal Information Management System.
Personal Information Management System. So when I understood from your presentation, it's for you, it's quite strategic to not own the PIMS, but maybe propose the PIMS to your customers, because you believe that's going to be the center point where all the data, individual data, is going to be gathered, and then you're going to be develop services on the top of that. But so my question is, you said that you're working with Orange and other people. That means that it's the same PIMS, it's the same solution pushed by all these players, because if I get a PIMS from EDF, a PIMS from MAIF, a PIMS from Orange, and so on, I mean, that's not going to solve my need at the end. So how do you see that?
Well, I think there is a lot of structuration to happen in this ecosystem. Right now we have first players, French players named COSI. There are a few other players that are emerging in the UK, notably a player called HAT, another called DigiMe, and they all want to be the platform for personal data. So it's going to be right now a bit of a war between these startups to gain market share, and as you can see in other fields. And I think right now the story is really at the beginning, so we will see how it will happen. But of course, I think there are going to need to be standards so that all the PIMS can work together.
So it means that could be interoperable. So,
yeah.
so I can have PIMS from different providers.
Exactly.
But for you, this is really a solution for managing your private data, this kind of private cloud.
Yeah. Well, the idea is that the same way that we went from the mainframe computer to the personal computer, this shift is going to happen in the same way. Right now, nobody is imagining, okay, and tomorrow I'm going to have a personal server where I'm going to run all my algorithm. And I think there is paradigm shift that is still to happen in the minds.
And that means that if I have my own PIMS, I will decide which data is accessible from the outside, which data is not accessible from the outside. That's the principle?
Yeah, exactly. And right now with the GDPR, you have, through the PIMS, you need to be able to give your detailed consent for the use of your data first, and then you need to be able to have access to the data that each company owns on you and be able to correct and to, if you want, to be able to ask for its erasure. So this kind of first interfaces will pave the way for a lot of more usage, and using these new tools for managing as an individual the relation with all the corporation I'm dealing with.
And so today you're an insurance company, MAIF. So you have insurance models, I guess. I mean, that's the way you've been living and working for years. So what does that mean today with this private data? That means that you're going to personalize the insurance that I can get. How do you see that? Because at the point of time, insurance works because there's a lot of people and you mutualize risk. But if you go to very personalized insurance, you might lose this concept of mutualization. So what's the boundary? I mean, between personalization based on my driving habit, behavior, and mutualization?
I think this is a question that will really go much further than the scope of my presentation. It's of course something that is at stake in each insurance company. But right now, all the experiments that I've done with behavioral insurance, or I've not really made any progress. And of course, as a mutual insurance company, the mutual aspect is really in our DNA. So we are, of course, looking at what is happening and trying to experiment. We have an experimentation called MAIF and GOUR, where we just experiment right now, but nothing serious.
Okay. Any question, François?
Yes. Thank you, Eric, for the presentation. Moving away from the ping concept, you talked a little bit about the blockchain. I thought you would go into the blockchain and the link between blockchain and AI. Could you describe if you have any proof of concept of usage of blockchain at MAIF, or ideas on how blockchain would be used in your presentation environment?
Well, right now, we are, of course, investigating the topic. We are working on a first MVP for a kind of self-insured through blockchain groups, then for which MAIF then can serve as a reinsurance, but it's still in the experimental stage.
Okay, there's a question, I think, over there.
Yeah. Thanks, Eric. This is Sonny from Software Robotics as well. So I heard that you have been working with SNPs. I would like to have your idea on how do you see the application of natural language processing, and what kind of solution you're using. So you are focusing only on ASR, or you are mostly focusing on the natural language in understanding? How do you see the application of this kind of technology in your business?
Well, we try to work on what we call the conversational user experience. And right now, for this kind of use cases, having a strong NLP technology is, of course, critical. But it's really in all the parcours, in all our experience online, and we want to create this true omni-canal experience, and we need to find the best way to articulate all the screen interface with vocal interface. But of course, we believe the future of UX will be conversational. It will be much more natural, and we have to prepare for the moment when the technology will become invisible. But we are not, I think, a bit far away yet.
Miguel, I think you had the question.
Yeah, I love the concept of the PIMS, but I've seen some of the bigger telcos like Telefonica launch their fourth platform, and they try to be the broker of your personal data in a way, like they try to be in the middle of that graph, right? So do you think that if a big telco which has access to all the customers makes it easy enough, then the customer will not try to do their own system, etc.? Is there a risk that then we end up having the power moving into the middleware, but still not into the end user?
There is another player in France that is trying to do the same thing. It's La Poste. La Poste is working through DigiPost because I think it's quite aligned with our history. They have this kind of trust third parties. They are assermented so that they don't look into your private mails, and they now want to be kind of the stewards of your personal data, which is also natural. But we believe that this kind of system can only work if the tool is really at the hand of the customer and not in the hand of big player. But of course, there is this huge stake of making systems that are easy to use and that really creates immediate value for the customer. We are pretty aware that it's not because it's more virtuous solution that there is going to be mass adoption of it. It needs to be the better solution. That's why people use Google today, because it provides the best digital services.
Okay, last question over there, and then we move to the cocktail. I'm getting thirsty.
Hello. As an insurance company, you're probably quite used to thinking about risks, how to anticipate risks, how to mitigate risks. So you mentioned this technology, which is like a private cloud full of personal data. What are the risks that you see associated with this technology, and what you as a company are thinking about mitigating them?
Well, of course, the major risk about this kind of technology and in the digital field is right now, and the risk is getting more and more, we are getting more and more hit on this, is cyber security, of course. What we think is pretty interesting with this approach is the economic rationale for a hacker to get into a personal cloud for gaining maybe the 20 or 30 euros of value from the personal data of the user is not worth the effort rather than trying to break into a Sony server or others. But in general, what we would like to do is to package this kind of solution with a whole range of offer around cybersecurity and what we can offer around the digital risks.
Okay, Erik, thanks a lot. Thank you very much.